Hi, Right Riders. Cruz here. Thank you so much for joining me. In this video, we are going to be focused on the IELTS. And in this case, these prompts were gathered from the BritishCouncil.org website. Of course, I will provide the link for you. For this video, we're only focused on the academic writing task number 1. They do provide 60 minutes for writing task 1 and 2, but I just wanted to make separate videos for the different writing tasks that they have. The first writing task should take about 20 minutes. It should be written in a formal style, and we should have at least 150 words for this particular task. I have a 20-minute online timer set to go. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. As I scroll down, I want you to know, right, writers, that all I did was, I pulled the prompt from the website, put it on a Google Doc, and then went ahead and did a snippet of the image that we're supposed to be analyzing. Please understand, right, writers, I really have not looked at this information. I've just copied and pasted it. And so now I'm going to go ahead and start my timer so that I can start my summary paragraph and even taking some notes on what I'm actually summarizing. The important thing to know is that we have to write at least 150 words and that it should maintain not some, but a formal style. So this is not informal, this is formal writing. Timer has started, right, writers? Okay, so here it says the graph below shows the proportion of 4 different materials that were recycled from 1982 to 2010 in a particular country. Summarize the information. Keep in mind, right, writers, that was with an S, but I changed it to a Z. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. Okay, summarize the information for the main features and then we'll start to make comparisons. So basically, we're looking at, again, recycled materials. We see the different colors. Blue represents paper and cardboard, red represents glass, green represents aluminum, and purple represents plastics. And so we can see also from these recycled materials, we see in the x-axis we see the years, and then the y-axis we see the percentages. So in this case we can start to put together and seeing like the different years, I guess, that they're looking at. So 82 to 86, 86 to 90, 90 to 94. So we're looking at 4-year increments, and spanning, again, from 1982 to 2010. So let's look at how to put this in just a summary form here. So we've got just some ideas. Um, the and again, I'm just starting to write down some ideas. Recycling rate for selected materials. Um, Let me go ahead and fix this so it's not underlining in bold. And recycled recycled materials in 4-year increments, um, spanning from 1982 to 2010. Um, Purple represents plastics or plastic. Let's see, purple represents plastics, green aluminum cans, Cans. Red glass containers, blue paper and cardboard. Red represents blue, shows paper and cardboard. Okay, so just sort of looking at how this is set up, right, writers, I've got 15 minutes remaining. So basically summarizing what is in the graph first, and I'm looking at the prompt, and I need to represent the um, percentage recycled. So let's look at summarize by selecting and reporting the main features. So in the percentage, by recycling rate for selected materials. So rate of materials based on percentage. The graph illustrates percentage rate. Graph illustrates percentage rate in 4-year increments. The graph illustrates percentage rate in 4-year increments spanning from 1982. Okay. In this graph, one can see the recycling rate. Now, I think it said of a given country, in a particular country, one can see the recycling rate of materials based on percentage. And I think they said in a particular country. Okay. In a particular country. The graph illustrates the percentage rate in 4-year increments spanning from I don't know why I can't spell country right, writers, spanning from 1982 to 2010. Um, while the color purple represents plastics, green shows aluminum cans. Green shows aluminum cans. Meanwhile, red represents glass. Meanwhile, red represents glass containers. However, blue shows paper and cardboard. All right, 11 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, right, writers? Okay, so definitely what we can see is based on the percentage, the blue paper and cardboard were definitely the most popular recycled materials spanning during this time. I mean, it outperformed all other materials, while plastics had the lowest percentage. Um, and so we could just sort of talk about, in based on ordering that the paper and cardboard represented the most recycled materials, while the plastics represented the lowest. So that's something I want to bring up. Blue shows paper and cardboard. Based on the graph, paper and cardboard, the most had the highest, paper and cardboard had the highest rate of recycling, while plastics had the lowest rate. And in this case, I will say percentage rate of recycling, while plastics had the lowest rate. And as far as like the percentage, I think, of increase that we see, sort of, you can see aluminum cans have gained, we can definitely see that it has gained more traction than the others. So, had the most sort of steady increase over time. So it did not have any real drops. So I can say that aluminum cans, interestingly, aluminum cans or aluminum I'm saying it's to spell it right, writers. Aluminum cans, aluminum can recycling um, saw a steady increase over time, with, I mean, I guess what would be considered um, with no drops in percentage, with no, and I guess I can just leave it at that. Saw a steady increase over time. And although, plastic sort of increased over time, it looks like it kind of dipped a little bit in 1998. So I feel comfortable with saying that. Um, it looks like 1990 was just one of those times where the number of people recycling, or the number of the as far as the recycling goes, it looks like that is were represented dips in both paper, cardboard, and percentage. So 1990 seemed to be the year that the recycling rate dropped. However, it was the first time that plastics were recycled. Um, so that's something that I can bring up. Aluminum can recycling saw a steady increase over time. So let's see what we have overall with 6 minutes remaining, right, writers? In this graph, one can see the recycling rate of materials based on percentages in a particular country. The graph illustrates the percentage rate in 4-year increments spanning from 1982 to 2010. While the color purple represents plastics, green shows aluminum cans. Meanwhile, red represents glass containers, however, blue shows paper and cardboard. Based on the graph, paper and cardboard had the highest percentage of recycling. And maybe I should be specific as far as like, with the recycling rate being, it basically was over 60%, 60 and upwards of 80%. So 60 to 80%. Um, so I can say between 60 and 80%. Let's be a little bit more specific. So based on the graph, based on the graph, paper and cardboard had the highest percentage rate of recycling, um, with numbers falling um, between 60 and 80%, between 60% and 80%, while plastics had the lowest rate, falling between, and plastics, I can say, just be really under 10%, falling under 10%, 10%. Interestingly, aluminum can recycling saw a steady increase over time from 1986 to 2010. So maybe from 1980, let's say if this is 1982, 86, 90, 94, 98, 2002, 2006, 2010. So we can say something like maybe from, um, you know, I guess from 5% maybe to 35%. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. So really, I mean, we can look at the years of just looking at, there was a dip between 1986 and 1990 in recycling of paper, cardboard, and glass containers. And again, maybe it's more like I said, right around between 1986 and 1990. Although a drop in recycling, between 1986 and 1990, especially in um, glass containers, in paper and cardboard and glass containers, cardboard. Um, okay, I've got about 32 seconds remaining, 30 seconds remaining, right, writers? I definitely can see that everything has pretty much increased except for paper and cardboard, up to like 2000s. So 2010, things seem to be increasing except for paper and cardboard. So, although a drop in recycling occurred between 1986 and 1990, especially in glass containers and paper and cardboard. All right. That was my timer, right, writers. I'm going to just finish this sentence, right, writers, because again, just looking at, this typing, and, 10 seconds remaining here, I'm just going to add one more sentence here. Although a drop in recycling occurred between 1986 and 1990, especially glass containers and paper and cardboard, um, recycling rates, uh, overall recycling rates have increased over time. Okay, so that might have been the only thing, right, writers, that I would have added to that. I mean, when you're talking and writing, that obviously takes away some time. So I do not feel guilty about that. I mean, I think again, we can argue about all the things that I missed from this graph. Um, I can definitely see that it seems like paper, cardboard, and glass containers are about to cross in just a little bit. We saw the dip. I tried to just highlight, some of the most important features. I mean, definitely plastic seems to be the lowest, while aluminum cans seems to be increasing. So, and that may represent some inferences that can be made that we definitely see, the more that aluminum cans seem to be something that we or the material maybe is something that is more valuable to us, again, because we can see that it's really getting close to its um, percentage rate of recycling with glass containers and paper and cardboard. But I definitely am okay with what I've written, so I wanted to sort of go broad in the overview. And you could also argue, but Cruz, you also missed the idea that, paper, cardboard, and glass containers were one of on the forerunners of recycling. While glass came next, followed by plastics. And that's true. And so again, it's just a matter of what you want to focus on, and what you decide over time. But I definitely wanted to get sort of an overview as my closing sentence, because I needed something to sort of wrap up the summary, and I did not want to be specific. I wanted to sort of zoom out at the end. So that said, right, writers, I want to see if I hit the looking at the requirements. I'm just scrolling up here, right, writers, the 150 words, and let's see how I did if I even hit that. And see, boy, I sure hope so, right, writers? Because if not, I'm going to be very sad. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this and see if I manage to hit 150 words. Please, please, please. I didn't. So I hit 122 words. I don't know why, but I just felt like, I don't think I hit it. However, I hope that this ensures your success and makes you feel better. That if you do not succeed on passing your IELTS with the scores you want on the first try, you must try again. Because even Cruz is representing herself and showing, I did not make the cut. All right, that said, right, writers, let's go ahead and look at the paragraph and then we will stop the video and I will lament and cry in a little corner somewhere. Okay, summary paragraph. In this graph, one can see the recycling rate of materials based on percentages in a particular country. The graph illustrates the percentage rate in 4-year increments spanning from 1982 to 2010. While the color purple represents plastics, green shows aluminum cans, green shows aluminum cans. Meanwhile, red represents glass containers. However, blue shows paper and cardboard. Based on the graph, paper and cardboard had the highest percentage rate of recycling, with numbers falling between 60 and 80%, while plastics had the lowest rate, falling under 10%. Interestingly, aluminum can recycling saw a steady increase over time from 5% to 35%. Although a drop in recycling occurred between 1986 and 1990, especially, and maybe I should have said specifically in glass containers and paper and cardboard, overall recycling rates have increased over time. So, not too bad. Again, there were some areas that I definitely should have added. I feel like I should have added this idea that of all the materials, plastics came late in the game. We didn't really start recycling plastics um, you know, until after 1986. Um, and, maybe highlighting that paper and cardboard and glass containers were recycled. Um, and also that aluminum cans came in, again right after paper and plastics. um so that is definitely something I could have added, but to keep it legit here, legitimate, right, writers, this is what I have under the time constraints. And you could argue, but Cruz, the timer went off, and you were really somewhere, I think, somewhere right here, and I didn't get to this overall part. But I think that, again, right, writers, talking and recording and writing at the same time does take away from one's thinking time. And so I added those extra seconds there, but I still did not make the cut. So I missed it um, by, over 25 words. Am I disappointed? Yes. However, let my disappointment inspire you to understand that if you find yourself not making the mark or hitting your mark that you need, please take this test again, try again, because part of it is that nervousness and it just happens to all of us. So, with that said, right, writers, I leave you in failure. And we will record again. I will record again, of course, doing another, not only another part one, but also two part twos, because the British Council has 4 different samples: a writing task part one, a writing task part two, and then another writing task part one and writing task part two with the academic writing sections. So thank you so much again, Right Writers. I hope this was helpful, useful, and seeing these tasks and seeing your fellow YouTuber um, in defeat, crying in defeat. Wah, wah, wah. All right. Have a great one, Right Writers. Love you guys. Thank you for subscribing. And I really appreciate, I keep getting new subscribers. So thank you, Sean, for subscribing to this channel. I really appreciate you doing that. Um, and I'll see you guys soon. All right. Take care. Bye bye.